Okay, so this is the Truffle Shuffle. Cards begin, new deck order, and we give them a little mix. Okay, so this is the explanation for the Truffle Shuffle. I'd first like to point out what this shuffle accomplishes. The cards are actually being cut during the shuffle. The way I do it, I like that the bottom card changes. A third of the packet is just being placed on top of the other 2/3. So by the end of the shuffle, the end of one shuffle, you have completed one cut of the deck. We'll show you how to do that so you don't have to cut the deck if you don't want to. I just prefer it so the bottom card changes, increases the illusion. Also, the thing that is different about this shuffle, and the only thing that I consider very unique about this shuffle that sets it apart from the others, is the springing action. In all of these springing shuffles, the Ron Wall-esque shuffles, or Leonard Green style shuffles, the cards are shuffled, then they are unwoven, and then a spring is performed. So whether it be under a top card or with no top card cover or both cards springing together, the cards are shuffled together, they're unwoven, and the spring is completed. The problem with that is it's 2 steps. The cards are shuffled, they're unwoven, they're sprung. So the thing that we've added here is the cards are actually springing before the cards are even unwoven, and it's happening during the unweave. So I'll show you the unique part of this. The spring begins, and as the spring is happening, the cards are being unwoven. It makes the transition softer and takes out an extra beat, which gives it an added illusion. So how do we do this? Well, you start with the cards in the right hand, and I riffle off a third from the bottom. You're going to begin a in the hands riffle shuffle, but it's important to lay a bed with the right hand, the larger packet. So you lay that bed, and you shuffle off. Now I'm shuffling the outer corners together, the corners closest to you, or the spectator in this case. And as long as you have a bed there and the outer corners are shuffled together, you should be looking at an upside down V, or for you, it's a regular V. So you begin by arcing both of the packets. Now, normally in a cascade shuffle, you would put the pressure together, causing both packets to arc together. This, both thumbs are individually controlling the packets, causing the arc. So you're doing this individually with each packet. But together, it looks like the arc is caused because of the 2 packets being together. So again, shuffle together, you arc the cards. Now, the fingers are underneath to catch the cards, like so. They're going to see that it started to catch it already. And what's going to happen is you begin the springing action with the right thumb, and the cards get unwoven as you continue to spring. And that is a quick overview of what's about to happen. We'll break it down into steps now so it's easier to follow. Okay, so the first thing is getting into the shuffle. I start with the right hand biddle grip, and I thumb off a third of the packet, getting into standard in the hands riffle shuffle position. Now, I'm going to shuffle the outer corners, or the corners closest to the spectator. Those are going to be the contact points. First, I lay a bed with the right hand packet, which is the larger half. I lay about half those cards, and then I continue shuffling off until you have a bed of cards, the cards interwoven, and I should be looking at an upside down V, or from your perspective, a V. As soon as you get to this point, you're ready for the thumb position. So I'll wait till you get caught up, and we'll move on. Okay, now that you have the bed of cards and the cards interlaced, it doesn't really matter which card you have on top. That's not important. What is important is thumb placement. Your left thumb is going to go right where the cards are interlaced, right up to the top there, and your right thumb is going to go at the innermost corner of the right hand packet. So this corner over here. Now it should be contacting all of the cards even at the bottom, even of the bed. Now, you should have independent control over these packets. They should be held like so. You should be able to take them apart if you have to. The fingers underneath should be, you should have enough room so that you can create a net for the card, so to speak. So you arc both of the hands, and the fingers underneath should be able to catch the cards. Now, here's the thing about this. This arc is created independently by both hands. In other words, if I move apart right now, the arc stays the same. It's not created from pressure into both halves. It's independent pressure in both halves creating that arc. So cards are shuffled, lay a bed, now the arc is created. Now, the fingers are there to catch the cards, like so. The springing action begins with the right thumb letting go of the cards, catching them underneath. And as soon as you get that, we can move on to the unweaving. So the cards are like so, it's arced, and you begin a spring. That's the only important thing for right now, and that'll be the key to the shuffle. Okay, so we've shuffled off a bed in the right hand, we've interlaced the cards, we're looking at an upside down V. The left thumb is put at where the cards are interlaced, the right thumb at the innermost corner of the right hand packet. The cards are arced, you're ready to spring the cards. You begin the spring with the right hand packet, that's the only packet that ever gets sprung. And then as the spring continues, right as you reach the point where the cards are interlaced, you begin unweaving the shuffled cards. And you keep them as tightly, as close to the right hand packet as possible. You don't want a gap there, you want them to be hugging the top card there. And now you simply coalesce the cards and square up. I'll show you that again. So, get to this position. You begin the spring. Now it's important to time this perfectly. There shouldn't be any sort of hesitation. There shouldn't be any pausing. It should simply be as if you shuffled the cards at that speed. There wouldn't be any bumps in the road, so to speak. So the cards get shuffled, and then as it reaches the top, it gets squared up. Now the thing about this is, like we mentioned before, most of the other shuffles, the unweaving happens. It's like a zero shuffle. You have to strip out the cards and place them on top. With this, it's happening at the same time, or it at least appears as if it is. So the cards are sprung, and then it's slowly unweaving. And that V that we talked about, that upside down V, is actually being reversed. That's the best way to unweave the card. So I'm looking at an upside down V. By the end of the shuffle, I should be looking at a regular V. You can see how that unweaves the cards, just like so. So I'll do it again. Cards are shuffled, cards are arced, the spring begins, and now you can see, even with a springing action, I'm looking at a regular V. It's up to you how tight or how open you want to be with this shuffle, but that V-ing action is what's going to get them to unweave. Okay, so there's a lot of girls out there who are going to want to do this and keep the deck in new deck order and not have to resort to some man work to get it back there. So we'll go over that for you people. You begin, there's actually a few options. We'll go over all of them. First is you do the shuffle just like ordinary. Just you begin the shuffle, right hand, lay the bed, shuffle, and now after the shuffle, you're going to have a natural step there, and all you do is you just simply don't square. After the cards are coalesced, you will have a tiny step there, so all you do is you don't square up, and you alternate into left-hand dealing grip, and now you just cut right at that, putting it back into new deck order. So that's one option. You just simply do the shuffle like normal, and then you will have this natural step, and you just cut right to it, which is a nice casual way of getting back into whatever order you want. Another alternative is actually starting the shuffle in the left hand, riffling off 2/3 into the right hand, and then continuing the shuffle as normal. That's a good way of doing it. The problem is you have to get to this position and then into this position. The goal of the shuffle was to have it as natural and casual as possible in a peripheral sense, so that there was never any odd, unnecessary movements. But some people like those types of movements. And if you're one of those people, that might be the way to do it for you. There is another alternative, which is the way Dan Buck actually learned it without even thinking about it, is he just learned to spring the cards in the left hand. So he starts in the right hand, he riffles off 2/3 into the left hand, then he begins the shuffle in just the opposite way. Now I can't do it this way because I'm not talented, but Dan is, and he's able to do the exact same shuffle, but into his left hand, which will place that block right where it came from, keeping it in new deck order. Another option is putting some work into the deck, like a crimp or a pencil dot or a short card, and that'll allow you just to find it later if you want, or spread down and see it and cut to it, or give it some sort of, if you have a short card, you can riffle to it. So there are lots of different options. Play with different ways of doing it. Someone may come up with an ingenious way, but I like the idea of the bottom card changing. It adds to the illusion, and it's the way a man would do it. Okay, so this is the truffle shuffle in more detail. You're going to begin by starting an in the hands riffle shuffle. The way I do it, the cards get cut. We'll talk about how you don't have to do that later. But I take the cards in right hand biddle grip, and I riffle off 1/3 of the cards. So I have 2/3 in the right hand, 1/3 in the left hand. I begin by laying a bed with the right hand. I lay approximately half of those cards first. Then I continue the shuffle. Doesn't matter which card gets laid last, as long as it's a tight shuffle, that's important, and then there's a bed under the right hand packet. It's also important that the outer corners are interwoven. I shuffle the corners that are closest to the spectator together, and I create this upside down V. So I'm looking at an upside down V right here. It should look like a regular V to you. The left thumb is placed right where the cards are interlaced, and the right thumb is placed in the innermost corner of the right hand packet, like so. It should be contacting all of the cards underneath and on top, and now you are ready to begin the springing action. Here's an angle that'll allow you to see the V and the unweaving a little bit better. So you start, and I'm looking at an upside down V. The shuffle begins, and the V actually turns into a regular V for me. The cards get coalesced. So again, like so, you can see the V reversing itself from one way to another. This shuffle actually came from Steve Forte showing me an in the hands table shuffle, and that actually cuts the deck just like this one. I simply added the spring to it. So it actually didn't come from the typical Ron Wall, Leonard Green, Jerry Andrus spring type shuffles that have become popular. It actually came from something I saw Steve Forte do. Benjamin Earl from England, a good friend of mine, came up with his psychological shuffle, which is very similar to this in the sense that 1/3 is shuffled into 2/3. The packets are stripped out, and the right hand does all of the springing only. In my version, just like Ben's, only the right hand does the springing action. The main difference, which is also the main thing that I think is an attribute and the addition to the world of Magic, is the springing occurs before the cards are unwoven. Meaning in most shuffles, the cards are unwoven and then sprung. The move or the action of unweaving the cards actually takes place during the springing action, which I think is its strongest attribute and what gives it the best illusion. So I hope you guys enjoy the Truffle Shuffle.